friends, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing really well. So I'm so sorry for not having posted over the past little while. Things have been really busy around the house. I've been working a lot of overtime with my adult job, and we've been doing some small renovations around here as well. So it's been really busy. Halloween looked very different for us this year. And yeah, just a lot going on. So I took a little bit of a break from reading and posting. You guys know I've been struggling with my reading this year, but I did want to hop in and give you guys a pile of possibilities that I'm hoping to get to at least some of these before the end of the year. No guarantees that these are all going to be read, and of course I'm not going to put any pressure on myself to read all of these. Might take a completely different turn and read some other things. But I am feeling like a haunted Yuletide. I want all the ghost stories. I want all the dark and spooky. I want all the gothic stories and movies as well. So we're just going to be talking about books in this video. But if you guys wanted to see my watch list of things that I have been watching and things that I would like to watch before the end of the year during the Yuletide season, let me know down in the comments if you would like me to do a watch list as well. But today we're going to be talking about books, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. There are going to be more videos coming. I'm sorry I've been so sporadic this year, but I really want to get back into my reading and posting and all the things, because most of the house renovations are done now, so really looking forward to getting into some good ghost stories. So like I said, I'm feeling very much like Victorian Christmas, Victorian Yuletide, where it's all the dark and spooky kind of ghost stories during this time of year. But there are a couple of books outside of that that I definitely did want to put on the list. So the first one is one that I got in a haul not too long ago, probably a couple of months ago. Krampus the Ule Lord by Brom, and we are huge proponents of Krampus in this house. We love that time period, early December before Yuletide. So I've been looking for this book for a few years now, and it's really expensive here on Amazon Canada. And I was just really unwilling to pay that price, but I did find it secondhand at the thrift store, and it's a hardcover version. Even the soft cover is really expensive, so super looking forward to this. It doesn't have too much illustration in here like Slewfoot, which I still have to read, hopefully before the end of the year as well, but it does have this wonderful picture at the front. And I'll just read you just a very small snippet of the synopsis, because this is everything that I want for this time of year. It says, "Santa Claus, my dear old friend, you are a thief, a traitor, a slanderer, a murderer, a liar, but worst of all, you are a mockery of everything for which I stand. You have sung your last ho ho ho, for I am coming for your head. I am coming to take back what is mine," to take back Yuletide. And this is just absolutely delicious, and really super excited to get to this one. I'm really late to the game. This has been out for quite some time, but I was so excited to find it at the thrift store this year, exactly for this season. And then a couple of other non-ghost story related books, but still very much with the atmosphere and the feels and everything that I'm looking for. I did have this one, I think, on my Halloween pile of possibilities as well. I barely read anything during Halloween, you guys. I canceled all of my Halloween events because of the renovations going on. We were super busy, and I just wasn't feeling it. My mental health hasn't been in a good place for a very long time, so it was very subtle for Halloween, but we did get lots of stuff done, so I'm really excited to show you guys that in a vlog. So I'm putting it back on my pile of possibilities for Yuletide, and that is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. And again, really super late to the game. Being a horror lover, being a gothic lover, it's really super surprising that I haven't read this book yet. I did also find it on audiobook, and it's like a cast narration, so I think that'll be really fun. So I know this is a much beloved book, so I'm really super excited to put this one on my list as well. And then the other one that's carrying over from my pile of possibilities from Samhain Halloween time is Cursed Objects by J.W. Auker's Strange But True Stories of the World's Most Infamous Items. So of course this is talking about Annabelle and Robert the Doll and all kinds of things. And so again, didn't get to this one during the Halloween season, but we're watching a show right now called Evil Things, which I'll talk about in my watch list if you guys want to see that. And this ties right in there with that, so I thought this one would be a good one to put back on the pile of possibilities for the Yuletide season. And then getting into a few anthologies as well. So the first one, I had to pull one down off of the ghosty shelf, which a library tour, an updated library tour is going to be coming as well. I do have some haunted objects in my library now that my parents bequeathed me from the haunted Victorian that I grew up in. So I had to pull one down off the ghosty shelf, so I thought this one will be perfect. So this is out of the Ghost House series, number 11, Ghost Stories of Christmas by Joanne Christensen. So definitely wanted to get to at least one of these during the Yuletide season. I might pull down another one. There's one that has to do with horror movies, and we are starting to watch a lot more movies, doing a lot more physical media collecting, that sort of thing. So I might pull that one down as well, but at the very least I wanted to get to this one because I know it's just going to have all of the warm and cozy feels. And two that I bought a couple of years ago, and I've put them on my list, my Yuletide list, for the past few years and still haven't read them. So the first one is the Valancourt book of Victorian Christmas Ghost Stories, edited by Tara Moore. And there's several of these. And I just love the covers on them. You can see this tree here with the skulls. Super, super cute, and I know it's going to have all those Victorian dark atmospheric sort of ghost stories that I'm looking for. The only unfortunate thing is the print. The text is very small in these, so I'm hoping it'll be okay. If not, I'll just get it again on digital copy. But wanted to give one of these a try. I'm not sure how many of these there are now, but I know there's quite a few. So I think this might have to be a Yuletide tradition for me that I pick up one of these to throw into my pile of possibilities. So if you guys have read anything out of the Valancourt books, let me know. This will be my first one. And this one I'm super excited about. I want to pick up the Krampus one first, but this one is probably going to be coming very close on its heels. This one is The Old Magic of Christmas, Yuletide Traditions for the Darkest Days of the Year by Linda Radich. And on the back here, it's so delicious. It just sounds so good. Steeped in history and adorned with a bit of enchantment, The Old Magic of Christmas is the perfect book to read by a winter's fire with a mug of mulled cider in hand. And that is just all of the feels that I'm looking for. You guys will know that I have been talking about getting our wood stove installed for the last few months, and that is now finished. We've been having fires constantly, and it's really getting me into the mood of like lighting candles, having a fire, and just sitting down and reading a comfy cozy book. And this one sounds exactly like one that I'd want to pick up and read by candlelight, wrapped up in a blanket with, you know, snow falling outside. We actually had a storm yesterday, so this one definitely has all the feels as well. And now getting into the fiction kind of sphere, I definitely, if I'm talking about ghosty books and ghost stories, I definitely had to have at least one Mary Downing Hahn on hand. And this one I specifically picked because it has this like cold weather sort of image on the front here. You can see this ghostly girl, and she's in a graveyard that's blanketed in snow. So I picked this one because it looks like it takes place during the right kind of time period that I'm looking for, and it says it does take place in 1918, and the main character is Annie Brown, and she goes to a new school. It's during the war, and there's a girl there that befriends her, but the girl is like really, really bullied, and with Annie, she wants to fit in and stuff like that, so she starts kind of getting in on the bullying and everything of this poor young girl, who ends up catching the Spanish flu. So there's a lot of history, it seems like, wrapped into this. And funny enough, I'm actually rewatching Downton Abbey right now, and it's right during World War I. So this was kind of a perfect pick to sort of wrap in with that. But sounds really, really good. And of course, it's a middle grade book. It's going to be a quick read, but Mary Downing Hahn definitely brings all of the spooky feels. And just with the cover art alone, I definitely had to pick this one up. I think this one actually is also carrying over from my Halloween reads. I've had this series on my shelf now for a few years, and I don't know how many times I've put them in a TBR or pile of possibilities or talked about it or whatever, still haven't picked it up. So this is The House on Trad Street by Karen White. And this is about a woman who's very practical, and she is very no nonsense, and she inherits an old Victorian home and all of the ghosts that go with it. And I'm hoping that this is the right style of book that I'm looking for, because there was another one that I read, the September House, that has very much the same sort of like, oh, here's our house and all the ghosts, but it wasn't written the way that I wanted it to. It wasn't a spooky book. It was more of like a, I don't know, a family drama with ghosts wound into it. I'm looking for dark and spooky, so we'll see how this one goes, and this will definitely sort of set the stage if I'm going to read the rest of the series, which I think I have like 6 or 7 of them up there now. I usually try not to buy books in the series until I read the first one, because I've been burned so many times, but sometimes it happens. And there is a Christmas themed one in this series as well, so if I really like it, I might end up binge reading a bunch of them. And then the last physical book that I have is this one, The Swallow by Karis Cotter. And I've read a few of her books, and they're actually very cozy. They're middle grade ghost stories, and Karis Cotter is a Canadian author. She lives in my home province of Newfoundland right now. She's originally from Toronto. And this is about 2 young girls, and I believe they live next door to each other. It's been a little while since I read the synopsis of this book. It says, side by side, overlooking a cemetery, in one house is Polly, in the other is Rose. They couldn't be more different. Polly has a large, noisy family, while Rose is often left alone by her busy parents. Polly has a wild imagination and speaks before she thinks. Rose broods and says little. Polly's greatest desire is to see a ghost, while Rose just wishes she could stop seeing them. So we have 2 young girls, one that can see ghosts, and the other one is just kind of pining for that. So I think this is going to be really super cozy. So you have kind of polar opposites here. You have one kind of like young goth girl, and one, I guess, what you would call like a normie, and they're standing next to a headstone that says a ghost story on it. So I definitely wanted to pick this one up. I think it's going to have all the cozy feels. And when I'm in a reading slump, I do tend to read a lot of middle grade, because they're very easy reads. They're very light. They're not too heavy on like romance and stuff like that. So that kind of stuff can like really kind of pull me out and turn me off of a book. So this one was definitely one that I wanted to put on here if I'm looking for all the dark and spooky. And then getting into a couple of audiobooks that I wanted to read during this season. The first one, if we're talking about ghosty books as well and the dark and spooky, I definitely had to pick up something from Darcy Coates. So I picked The Carrow Hunt, which is an older book of hers, and definitely what I'm looking for during this period. I've already started this one. I just started it earlier today, kind of while I was folding laundry. And it's about this tour guide who takes people through like a haunted house. She's very much a skeptic, but people pay to go on these haunted tours, and a storm sweeps in, and they end up, of course, getting locked in. So it's very much that isolation horror, but the isolation sort of supernatural ghosty horror. And so I think it sounds great. So they start experiencing all kinds of haunting things going on. There's seances that start going wrong, and there's no way out. So that sounded really, really good to me. I've read most of Darcy Coates' sort of haunted house books. There's lots outside of the haunted house sort of subgenre that she's written that I haven't gotten to yet, but when it comes to the haunted house books, this is one of the ones that I still haven't read, and really, really hoping that this one is going to pan out, because The Haunting of Ashburn House by her is one of my favorite books of all time. And if you're looking for anywhere to start with Darcy Coates, The Haunting of Ashburn House is definitely a good place to start. And the last audiobook that I picked for my pile of possibilities is The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner. And I've been wanting to get to this one for quite some time, and I thought this was perfect because I'm looking for all that sort of spiritualist sort of stuff going on. So just from the synopsis, it says, an atmospheric and evocative whodunit steeped in suspense, mystery, and illusion. So this takes place in 1873, and it says, at an abandoned chateau on the outskirts of Paris, a dark seance is about to take place. Led by the acclaimed spiritualist Faudeline Delaire, known worldwide for her talent in conjuring the spirits of murder victims to ascertain the identities of people who killed them. She is highly sought after by widows and investigators alike. So we've got a little bit of like crime wrapped in there and a whodunit and a mystery, and then of course all the gothic feels. So I'm really super excited. I do have The Lost Apothecary on my phone as well, that I would like to get to at some point, but this is the one that I went with for this particular pile of possibilities. So really hoping that that one is going to fit in with this sort of dark gothic spooky sort of theme that I'm going for this Yuletide season. So that's everything I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed listening to my pile of possibilities. We'll see how many of these I can get to before the end of the year. I'm hoping my reading is going to pick up. I know I've been saying that all year long. 2024 has been probably the worst reading year that I've had since I started reading again back in 2019, and but you know, you just kind of got to go with it. This is real life. It happens. I'm a booktuber, yeah. Sometimes I don't read 100 or 120 books in a year. So that's just real life. So if you guys know of any dark and spooky books that will be good and suiting my taste with what I'm going for this Yuletide, leave a comment down below, and maybe I'll put it on the list and we'll do a part 2. But as always, leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and stay spooky, everybody. Bye.